Come to order. It is Monday, February the 26th, 9 o'clock in the morning, and the Kerr County Commissioners Court is now in session. If you would, please rise for the prayer and pledge, which will be led by Commissioner Harris.
Lord, we want to thank you for loving us each and every day. We also want to thank you for putting us here in the beautiful hill country, and thank you for the pretty days that you've painted for us here recently, and it's like in the near future. As always, we can use a little bit more rain, and Lord, please watch over our first responders, both here and around the world. Lord, please watch over us and help us make decisions today that best reflects your intentions. Lord, amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. First item of business is everybody to turn off your phone, or at least put it on vibrate, so it doesn't interrupt the proceedings. Next, we have, as always, on our regular Commissioner Court days, public input. And this is an opportunity for this court to receive input from the public. We ask that you identify yourself by your name and address, so we know which precinct you're in, and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. If you want to address something that is on an agenda item, we ask that you wait until that agenda item is called. The public input part is for the things that are not on the agenda. Now, I have one request for public comment, but it is on an agenda item. So we'll wait, take that at that time. Is there anybody else that would like to address the court at this time? Very well, moving on, we'll go to the Commissioner's comments. Precinct 1.
Oh, I just wanted to add that County Animal Services and Kerrville Pets Live and local veterinarians are hosting a clinic offering rabies vaccines at a discounted rate and free microchipping. It started last Saturday. It runs through March the 9th. That is $10 rabies shots if you make an appointment with your veterinarian. Kerrville County Animal Services, we will offer the $1 registration and the free microchip per pet. Both of these are available Monday through Friday, 8 to 12 or 1 to 5. The number to call is 257-3100 if you have any questions. The World Health Organization states that 99% of all human rabies cases are caused by their own domestic pets. So go get your animal taken care of. I just got back from 20 hours of continuing education in Bryan last week through TAC. Met some great people from across the state of Texas. Closed with a really good economic outlook speech and another one from the Director of Elections at the Secretary of State's office. She talked about transparency, accessibility, accuracy, and security, and I think Ian's going to give us a little update on elections a little bit later. No rain the last 2 weeks in Precinct 1. Ready for it.
Precinct 2.
Well, the burn ban remains lifted for Precinct 2, but we are in drought stage 3. As both Commissioner Overby and Harris have pointed out, we sure could use some more rain. We'll keep a close eye on that. Briefly on the Centerpoint Sewer Project, substantial completion was achieved by D. Guerrero for phases 2 and 3 on January 12th, and they basically have completed their punch list items. So effectively they're done. We held an initial discussion with D. Guerrero on the liquidated damages. That's the elephant in the room. And we're going to be diving into that in greater detail now. It is on the agenda later for further discussion, so I'll leave it at that. Our committee on office space and storage space is making good progress, both in terms of a couple quick fit, low-cost quick fixes to address the IT and Sheriff's Department office space needs, as well as identifying longer-term needs and eliminating some of the needs that were included in Proposition A, such as the need to modify the courthouse ground floor to create a 12-person jury room for the county court of law. The need for a $4 million storage facility, and of course, if we can secure the old Ingram ISD admin buildings long-term where the West Kerr Annex is currently located, we'll also avoid the need to construct a new $4 million annex building. We've also formed a subcommittee to come up with a prioritized list of improvements for the Ag Barn, and we'll also try to form a stakeholder working group to help raise funds for the improvements so we can start chipping away at critical needs, since we can't raise another bond on that for 2 more years. Give some other updates on eclipse planning and the aggregate production operators during the liaison report section. And just wanted to comment that I look forward to Ian's comments on the elections, but from my perspective, I've been out there every day looking, well, maybe not every day, I didn't go yesterday. But they seem to be going smoothly. There's a good turnout. We've got some great candidates out there, so if you haven't already, go out and meet all you can. And hey, it's your duty to vote, so please vote, whether it's early or election day. I myself favor election day, so that's where I'll be. That's it.
Okay, precinct 3.
I really don't have anything other than what I have on the agenda.
Okay.
Not much, we've always, it's pretty out there, but like we said earlier, we need rain. We do have an event coming up this Saturday, Jake, the Ducks Unlimited. And so I'd encourage people to come out to that. That's all I got.
Okay, very good. So we'll move on to the consideration agenda. Before we do that, we have a lot of people here today, and I know we've got some significant presentations that are going to be made. But I want to admonish everybody that we have 4 timed items in the 9 o'clock time frame and 8 more in the 10 o'clock frame. So we have to finish those timed items before we can get to any other presentations. So I see, Sean, you're here. It may be a while before we get to you.
That's fine.
But I'm just letting everybody know. This is Sean Scott from ACOT. He's Transportation Director. So. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the consideration agenda item 1.1. Consider, discuss, take appropriate action on the request of the Kerrville Perpetual Cemetery Association to be added to the nonprofit list for use of the Union Church building in order to receive a 50% reduction of the rental fee. Cheryl Schreiner.
Do you want me here or there?
Up at the podium. We're on YouTube. This way they get to see you and hear you.
I am Carol Schreiner. I live at 105 Larry Lee. I'm in precinct 2. I am president of the Kerrville Perpetual Care Cemetery Association, and with me today is Weir Labatt, who is the vice president, who just works tirelessly for us out there. Every year for the last several years, we have rented the Union Church for our annual meeting. We take about an hour or an hour and a half to have that meeting, usually the last day of October. And last year, I believe, Jody informed me that rent was going to go up, and we are not on your nonprofit list for some reason. And I brought you documentation that gives you the determination by the U.S. Treasury and Internal Revenue Service that we are indeed a nonprofit. And we would like very much to be put on your list so we can have the discounted rate. It doubled for those of us that weren't on the list.
I make a motion that we include Kerrville Perpetual Care Cemetery Association on our nonprofit list for rental of Union Church and Tilcomb Youth Event Center properties.
I'll second.
We've got a motion and a second to correct the mistake of not having one in the nonprofit. Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Very much.
Thanks.
It's 9. What's supposed to go for 9, Ken? Item 1.2, which is the introduction of the members of the Hill Country Homeschool Association Student Council. Ms. Hall.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Isaac Hunter, and I am the president of the Hill Country Homeschool Association Student Council. We are a nonprofit organization that supports homeschool families in the Texas Hill Country area through through service opportunities and monthly social gatherings. Most notably, our service opportunities this past fall, we partnered with Habitat for Humanity to help one of their families get into their home in time for Christmas. Our monthly social gatherings, which we call teen nights, we designed to just be a safe place for homeschool families to send their teens so they can just hang out and get to know each other, building a relationship. We also inform all our homeschool families of political opportunities. In fact, many of the teens, even some of the officers here, myself included, have applied to become pages at the state GOP convention in May. Thank you. That's all I have to say. I'd like to have the rest of the council introduce themselves.
Hi y'all, my name is Sophie. I am the Vice President of the HCHSA Student Council.
I'm Madeline Holland and I'm the Secretary of the Student Council.
My name is Samuel Hall and I'm the Treasurer and Parliamentarian.
Hi, I'm Zoe Sophia Yule and I am the Public Relations Director.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
We need to have a photo op.
Come on up here, guys. In front of the table here, or you want them up there?
Huh? I think
Okay.
They like it in front.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm kind of the taller one, so.
We'll stand right behind you.
Okay. Appreciate that.
They're really tall.
We'll stand in the gap.
Yeah.
We'll be okay.
Make sure you can see me, so that way I can see. There you go. Look at it. Ready?
There's so
And
many.
1, 2, 3, smile. Let's get another one. And 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. You need yours?
Yeah. All right, y'all. Their picture with your camera was in the way, so I'm supposed to take one of their pictures if you don't mind. They actually do a yearbook too.
Yes.
So there we go. This will be your yearbook. Thanks.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you for stepping up and for your leadership. We look forward to really great things from all of you, so thank you.
Okay, I've got a 9:15 item. Mr. Roberts here?
No, I am Debbie Zabica, the Executive Director. I'm here
Okay.
representing the.
Let's go and call item 1.3. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve a proclamation recognizing March 2024 as American Red Cross Month. You want to say anything?
Yes, I do. Thank you so much. Like I said, I'm Debbie Zabica, I'm the Executive Director, but I also want to point out that we have selected Kerr County as one of our projects for this last year, and it's called Ready Communities, Neighbors Helping Neighbors. And so we're working with a number of nonprofits and city and county employees to actually work in the county to figure out where we need help, and trying to install as many smoke alarms and educating people on safety and how to protect themselves in case there is a disaster or an emergency in Kerr County. We will be doing programs on Be Red Cross Ready, Ready Rating, which is part of our helping organizations and businesses be ready in case they see an emergency, and also helping youth, younger kids with 2 programs in the schools, and also working with the Doyle Center and probably Boys and Girls Club, and also working with the Diederich Center. And so we have all those people on a committee that we're working on, and we're actually trying to make Kerr County safer. And we will be targeting Kerrville, Center Point, and also Ingram, because there have been a number of house fires in those areas. So thank you very much, and we appreciate all that the council does. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the proclamation recognizing March 2024 as American Red Cross Month.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the proclamation recognizing the American Red Cross Month. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Item 1.4, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action on a request to use forfeiture funds to pay a new hire, intake/grand jury prosecutor until SB 22 funds are received, at which time the forfeiture fund will be reimbursed from the SB 22 funds. Hire date is March 4, 2024. Do we need executive session on this, Ms. Wilson?
Judge, we do not. Good morning, unless you want to discuss salary or something else, but I am planning to use my SB 22 funds to hire a new intake grand jury prosecutor. That will be a huge help to our office, and I'll be using SB 22 funds. It was my understanding we would be getting them by the end of February, but it's actually by the end of March. My new hire start date is March 4th, so what I'm asking is permission to use forfeiture funds for first month's pay until the SB 22 funds come in, and then the SB 22 funds will be used to reimburse the forfeiture fund. I'm
I
happy to
always
answer any
look,
questions.
always look to the auditor on this, and she's nodding her head yes, so.
I move for approval.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the new hire for the intake grand jury prosecutor in 216 District Attorney's Office. Any
Thank you.
discussion? Any
Just a
discussion?
question, the salary that's listed, is that in line with your other prosecutors?
It is.
We'll make sure that we're
Yeah.
paying in order. Okay.
It's not, well, let me rephrase. I have another prosecutor that's been there 10 years, so it's not in line exactly with his, and the duties are very different. So it's in line with the current assistant DA that, John Hoover is my first assistant, and he has a lot more duties. And so it is in line with my other prosecutor.
Okay.
But it's competitive and competent.
I'm sorry?
Competitive and competent.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There being none, unanimous.
Thank you.
Next item is also yours,
Yes, it is.
1.5, consider discussion, take appropriate action to accept the 216th District Attorney's 2023 racial profiling report.
And actually, what we have is a certification that we are exempt from filing racial profiling reports because our investigators do not conduct traffic stops as part of their duties. We are exempt from filing a report, and our investigators have in fact not made any traffic stops during the reporting period.
So we've been completely in compliance.
Completely in compliance.
Do we need to accept the exemption? I move to, we accept the full exemption of racial profiling report.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to accept the exemption as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There being none, unanimous.
Thank you.
1.6, consider discussion, take appropriate action to approve a lease agreement with Xerox for a copier for JP Precinct 4.
I don't see,
That is probably pretty standard.
yeah, I think,
It's standard, and Heather's reviewed it.
okay, I move for approval.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second to approve the lease agreement for JP Precinct 4. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Item 1.7, consider discussion, take appropriate action to accept the compiled financial statements for Kerr County Emergency Services District Number 2, dated September 30, 2023. Mr. Harris.
Yes, this is the first of 4 that will come before the court. It's a standard deal we do every day. They have a compilation report done, and so I move for approval. Everything looks in order.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the compilation for ESD 2 as presented. Any discussion?
Just a question, I mean, this is a requirement every year to.
They
for
can
this
either have an
court to
audit
approve
or the much simpler and less
Yeah,
costly
sure.
compilation.
And
Yes,
We went through this
I've
discussion
been through it.
years ago.
Yeah.
this.
And-
And
and-
taking the number 3 meeting tonight, so I want to make sure that they understand.
At least they're working towards it.
Yeah.
Well, so the public understands, we ask for a compilation rather than an audit because it's cheaper, and in light of the small amount of monies that they manage, it's much more practical for them to do that. And it fits their budget much better. So we've got a motion to approve the compilation as presented. Any discussion?
That was the second too.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Okay, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Moving on to item 1.8, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to appoint a member of Commissioner's Court or designate a person to perform the investigation under Section 751.005 of the Texas Health and Safety Code. For the purpose of determining the minimum standards for ensuring public safety and order as prescribed by the law will be maintained under the application for permit by the Kerrville Folk Festival Foundation for Kerr Clips Festival being held April 4 through April 9. And the hearing on the mass gathering permit has been set for March 11 at 8:30 in the Kerr County Commissioner's Courtroom.
I was a volunteer last time. Aren't I already doing this?
You get them
For the
all.
previous one.
You get them all.
I get them all, okay, I volunteer.
How many years did you do it?
Enough,
I'm gonna
enough.
let you off, but I mean, if you volunteer, you got it.
Sounds like fun.
All right. Make a motion that Commissioner Overby
Yeah.
be appointed.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Commissioner Overby oversee the mass gathering permit. We'll have a hearing here.
That's short.
And so the public knows, and put you in a little bit of ease. Dr. Ringsdorf gives us a report, and the sheriff gives us a report. We admit those into evidence and approve mass gathering permit. But we need to have the investigation. So,
I can handle that.
with that, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, unanimous. I'm gonna wait on the 9:30 item because we're not quite there, which is a good thing. We're moving that quickly. Let's move over to 1.10, which is an update regarding the Atmos Energy and pipeline activity in the area.
I put this on the agenda because probably about a month ago, I was rather critical of Atmos Energy for doing things and no one knowing what they were doing. They either saw that, heard about it, whatever, and they contacted Charlie Hastings and myself. We had a meeting and kind of went over what they're doing. And what it is, they're upgrading a transmission line that goes from north of Kerrville to east of Kerrville. Currently, that line goes through parts of Kerrville where it is just not practical or feasible to upgrade the transmission line through the city of Kerrville, and it goes right through the middle of Kerrville, basically. So they're trying to find a new route north of near Highway 16 to the east side, and near Highway 27. They have been working on these routes for a new route through that area for about 2 years. They are probably still over a year away from coming up with a plan. So what they're doing right now, they're trying to get access to properties to do surveying, basically. They're trying to figure out where they can put this line through the most practical way, what roads are going to cross, how they're going to do it. They're just doing a lot of research right now. Sometime, probably about a year from now, they will have a final line. Because of national security, there will never be a map of where this line is. Gas and transmission lines have to be protected for federal law. So it's kind of, I mean, I guess people could fly over it when they're doing the construction and figure out about where it goes, but there's not, that's why it's kind of, there has been a whole lot of, here's the route of this map, where this line's going. That's just not gonna happen. But they assured me that once they designate where the line will go, they will then be contacting the landowners for right-of-way acquisition. And it appears from what they said that they intend on paying pretty close to market value of the property for that right-of-way. So I can see that some people may be happy to have this line. It's a lot better than a power line going through your property. This is underground. There's some limitations, obviously, what you can do right next to it, but they're going to be paying a pretty hefty sum for this right-of-way from what they have said. And anyway, they gave both Charlie Hastings and myself some contact numbers, so if people do have a question, I can get you in touch with someone with Atmos Energy, and get a real good meeting.
And certainly, with my background in oil and gas, I want to assure the public that pipeline transmission of hydrocarbons is the most safe means to get the energy that our nation needs to where it needs to go.
And economical.
Yeah, and economical, sure. So gas pipelines are very safe. They have all kinds of protections that are typically built into the pipeline operating system. And I guess if you're lucky enough and it's going to come through your property, you might get a nice chunk. And then the other reminder is, hey, call 911 before you do any digging. That's the law. And that's the way you avoid any mishaps associated with pipelines, or for that matter, underground cables.
It's not 911, it's
811. I meant 811, I'm sorry. 811.
So anyway, I appreciate Atmos Energy reaching out and having a meeting, and now I understand a lot more. Hopefully the public will know more, and we can give more information. But the fact that they're looking at your property does not mean they're even, they're working on their 6th different route right now. They're trying to figure out how to do it, and a lot of things is crossing floodplains, highways, roads. They're looking into a lot of things as what's the safest and the best way to do it. And outside, that's just, the new right-of-way is just in the quadrant. The rest of the line is also being upgraded, but they already have the right-of-way for the rest of the line.
Okay.
And just, the reason for the transmission line is basically to get, this whole region of the state more gas. The demand is there.
Okay, very good. That's just information items, no action.
Right.
So let's move on to item 1.11, before we get to the timed item, and that is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to allow the Kerrville Christmas Lighting Corporation to develop a plan for Christmas lighting on the courthouse square.
I've been kind of an ad hoc member of that committee, I guess, for the last couple of years. And they had their annual meeting a couple of weeks ago. And they said they, I guess, volunteered that they would do a plan for the courthouse square Christmas lighting at no cost to the county, and then they would go out and raise the money for the decorations. The county responsibility would be to put up the decorations as we currently do. But I said, well, I didn't want them to go spend money on a plan unless the court was,
Sure.
aware of it, and that they would go out and put together the plan. The plan would come back to the court for us to look at. They wanted to. Their goal is to have something that works with the rest of downtown, but not the same as the rest of the downtown necessarily. I thought that I know that Mike Grinstead has been very involved and likes the Christmas decorations, so I recommended that he maybe be kind of the point person for the county. But that's really up to Shane. But to me, I think Mike is one that really enjoys it. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure before they went off and started doing some work and stuff, that they would come up with this. Anything they already have a fair amount of money in the bank that they've raised, and they plan to go out and raise additional funds for the purchase of these decorations.
Good.
So I just want to. I don't know that we need a vote. I just need to make kind of a nod of the head here, really, that no one objects to them going out and develop.
We've already invited them to do it, so I think we
Sounds good.
No objection from my side, especially if it's free of charge.
Yeah, one of the things they have asked, and I'll get with Shane, they would like to know how much power is at each of the plugs that we currently have. They don't want to go out there and design something that we then have to upgrade the whole electrical system. So
I guess the only thing I would add or ask is that this team, factor in the continued use of the nativity scene, which is beautiful. The Hosanna Lutheran Church puts it up free of charge, and I'm all for celebrating Christmas. So
okay, all right, I'll pass the word on.
Okay, so there's no action
I don't
taken
think
on that.
no action at this time.
Let's go ahead and finish up with 112, which is to consider, discuss, take appropriate action on the implementation of the burn ban. We'll have to authorize this quarterly.
Right.
We'll make a motion that we approve our current policy related to the burn ban.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to continue the implementation of the burn ban as we've done in the past. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, Jake, we'll get you in now. Item 1.9. Consider, discuss, take appropriate action on exercising section 11.6 of the Second Amendment to the Management Agreement between Kerr County and Global Spectrum dated October 1, 2009, Court Order number 37549. Doing this would extend the management term until September 20 of 2029 and activate the fourth contribution to Kerr County from Global Spectrum. Jake?
Good morning, Your Honor, Counsel. We're proud to be here today. Brought my boss Claudio Olivera from Beaumont over, and we're here to discuss and take that action on if you guys would like to extend the contract that we had entered into in 2019. We are at that term limit, so we're asking for that extension so we can continue to provide the services we do to y'all through 2029 at this point.
So it's a 5-year contract with 5-year extension, is that what we're looking at?
Yeah.
Well, did you meet with them?
Yeah, well, I met with, because Tripp over here couldn't meet with him this morning. I went up and met with Jake and Claudia. Yeah, I think one of the good things about this is that this will trigger an additional $50,000 contribution from Spectrum, and that will pay for that along with the $75,000, $70,000 that's already in the bank. We'll pay for the new sign marquee that we're talking about, which is expensive. We haven't bid it yet. That will be coming back to us at a future court date, but it's estimated it's going to be $100,000 to $125,000 price range to get a state-of-the-art sign out there. Global Spectrum continues to, which I was not aware of this, met with them this morning, but continues to grow in the state of Texas. They now have a new facility in Austin. They have a facility, the main, I guess, convention center or whatever it is in Corpus Christi. Beaumont, Robstown, Kerrville. They're looking at being able to, because of having the number of events, bring more and more things to Kerrville. So I think it's been a good partnership. And you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I move for approval. We have a good working relationship with them, and look forward for another long-lasting relationship.
I'll second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'm a little bit of comment, just one more thing on the back on the marquee. Along with that comes advertising. It'll be something similar to what's up at Antelope Stadium, and it'll bring in, somewhere between $20,000 to $40,000 a year in revenue that comes back to offset their costs to the county. So it's a really a good deal. Need to visit a little with the city of Kerrville because of their sign ordinance, but either way we'll be able to work out an arrangement.
Right. And sorry I missed the meeting this morning.
Look, I'll just make a couple comments. I've been a little bit critical in the past of Spectra and that they weren't transparent enough with their reporting, but well, I'll tell you what, I'm very pleased with the job that they've been doing. So I rescind all those earlier criticisms.
You can send it out here to see.
Yeah, that's right. I've seen firsthand. I've had a number of meetings. I appreciate what they do, and that facility is a very important facility to the county and supports a lot of different events. It may not be making money for the county, and we may have to continue to supplement funds out there, but I do believe we need to keep doing that because of the benefits that the county and its citizens receive from having that facility available, which is why I'm happy to be working hard on the ag barn improvements. We got to find a way to do that.
Nobody appreciates y'all as much as Jody.
Absolutely.
She used to have to do all the booking and stuff.
And so the public knows that the Hill Country Youth Event Center is the epicenter of all emergency management in this county. The absolute epicenter.
Yeah.
And it is for the public good.
Yeah, along that line, just a detail. Every school district in the county, that is their go-to location if they have an emergency on any of their campuses, because it's got a facility to handle it. And also hurricanes, it's a designated location for emergency during hurricane events. And it's been used several times for that. So it's an important facility, and they all do a really good job operating for us.
And for the public that doesn't know, this is Jake Williamson. He's our director out there. He does an excellent job managing the facility.
Right.
Thank you. And I forgot to give these out earlier in my opening comments, so that's just an update on the subcommittee that's working on office space and
Okay.
Storage space. And of course, the ag barn is a key focal point of the committee. So that's just an update for the court, so you know what's going on, what we're doing. We're making great progress.
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second to approve the extension of the contract. It's just a contract for another 5 years with Global Spectrum. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Claudia.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
we're at the enviable position of being 9:33, and we have 8 items that are timed at 10 o'clock that we will fast forward past for the time being, and go past the one at 10:30, and we'll go down to item 1.21, which is to consider, discuss, take appropriate action to accept a donation from J3 Company of material, labor, and equipment usage to provide a parking pad for Kerr County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, I'm looking for the court's approval to be able to put this parking pad. We're looking for a home for our Bearcat, hopefully gets approved today, and we have a carport waiting. So J3's been real fortunate and told us to go ahead and do pretty much what I call the northwest part of our parking lot for it, paid for us. It's a pretty good, big area.
I move for approval.
One second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the J3 providing material and labor for the new parking pad at the Sheriff's Office. Any discussion?
Just a quick comment, just so no confusion. On our last meeting, we had authorized Road and Bridge to do this work, and they were going to, Sheriff Department would then who's going to reimburse for their, the cost, and this is being done at no cost to the county.
So
Which we very much appreciate.
Sure.
Sure. It frees up road and bridge, and I will say that, and I love our road and bridge department, I think they do a fantastic job. It's one thing to ask another county department to pick up the cost for materials, but probably not labor. I wouldn't be real happy to see the departments struggling each other for labor, but that, it's now no longer an issue, so I'm all for doing this.
Okay, thanks. We've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Sorry. Yeah, can we just make sure that upon completion, we can get what their costs were, so we can make sure it gets added to our fixed asset list?
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There being none, unanimous. 1.22, consider discuss take appropriate action to accept a $50 donation from a citizen for the Sheriff's Donation Fund, 72-370-530.
Yeah, just looking for the court's permission to accept this $50 and put it in my donation fund.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve accepting the donation. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Now, got people off guard here.
Yeah.
Sylvia's here? Okay, good. I didn't want to call it, that you did. Item 1.23, which is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to renew the Affordable Care Act Reporting and Tracking Service Program agreement between the Texas Association of Counties and Kerr County. Yes, Papa.
Good morning. So this is, we're mandated by federal to provide these 1095 forms for our employees. They basically tell the employees they had insurance, and also the provider usually sends a form as well, which is a 1095B. And so this is just a renewal. TAC handles it for us, which is great because they don't charge us anything except for the mailing of the forms. So it's a minimal cost, and they make sure they file it with IRS and make sure we're in compliance.
This is just routine?
Just routine, yes, sir.
Just like we have here?
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve item 123.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the item.
To renew the
Affordable Care Reporting and Tracking Service Program Agreement with TAC. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 1.24, consider, discuss, take appropriate action to approve job description for temporary part-time position and authorize Human Resources Department to fill the position. Mrs. Potter.
So our office is just really busy. We're down one person right now without having an HR director yet. So I did a little job description that possibly we could hire somebody part-time to come in and help until a director's hired.
This is a temporary part-time?
Temporary part-time, yes, sir.
And the funds for it would come out of the,
Department headline item.
okay. I move for approval. Second.
Okay. We've got a motion and a second to approve the temporary part-time position in the HR department as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Item 1.25, consider, discuss, take appropriate action to approve a part-time position for the clerk's office.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Judge. So what I'm hoping to accomplish today is to get a temporary part-time position created for the Elections Department. Over the past several years, there in the tax office, when they handled elections, there was a temporary part-time worker who solely helped with elections. And it was not, up until recently, made aware to me that she did not come over that worker did not come over with the transition. And so I want to make sure that I can secure a spot for her as a temporary worker, as she is a wealth of knowledge and has provided an incalculable amount of help over these last several months to make sure that the elections have been running as smoothly as they have.
So it's the same individual?
Same individual, yes, sir.
I move for approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the part-time position for the clerk's office as presented.
Temporary part-time.
Temporary part-time. Just temporary?
So why is it temporary?
and I apologize about that. I made a little mistake on my agenda request. It's temporary because she's only going to be helping us during the necessary times when the elections are happening.
Okay. Temporary then, it's just part-time for the election periods.
I guess what we had, the way we termed it, if it's part-time, it's part-time year-round. Temporary means it's for a specific task.
Yeah. Windows.
That's all I've got. Look at
And we
altered.
And we don't have to pay retirement on
We don't pay the retirement on temporary.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify that. I mean, the intent is for this position to continue on for a couple of years or something, I suppose. I don't know. Or how often are we going to renew it?
The way I understand it, it's more fill in during the
I
election.
get that part, but I mean, are we just authorizing it for 1 year, or does it go beyond?
My hope would be that it goes beyond until it's either unnecessary or redundant at that point. Of course, my office, having only been a part of the elections for a couple months now, any source of knowledge such as this person's is of great use to us. And there's nuances to everything. There's a lot to elections, so we don't want to lose out on something like that. And we don't want to lose it on that for the foreseeable future as well. However, there's going to come a point when I expect my office to rise to her level. And if she's no longer needed and no longer willing to continue assisting us, we can adjust this from the position schedule at that time.
Good safety blanket.
Was she a temporary part-time in the old office before?
Yes, ma'am.
So we've been doing it all along.
I'm happy to go along with it, I guess. From what I'm hearing, maybe we should ensure that this at least lasts through the elections this year, including the general election in November.
Yeah.
Then you can come back to the court and after that sometime, December, January, whatever, and then tell us what you need for the next year.
Yes, sir.
Budget according.
Yes.
Where will the funding come from for this?
So we have funding coming out of one of the 4 positions that were created for the elections department. 3 of them were from ARPA. 1 was from the tax assessor's office. We have a surplus of funds coming out of. We have currently a surplus of funds within that position that came over from the tax assessor's office, so we can pay it from there.
All right, that's my make sure the money.
We've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Being none, unanimous. Now, let me catch my breath. I'm looking at Sean. How long is your presentation?
I can do it in less than 10.
Well, we've got right at 15, 20 minutes before we have to take a break.
I can start to 15, 20 if you want.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and call item 1.26, which is presentation from Alamo Area Council of Governments regarding public transportation opportunities for Kerr County. Sean Scott.
Judge, I know that there's always a problem between governmental agencies on emails on a PowerPoint presentation because they're too big, and so I brought a handout if we don't have it. Oh, okay, then it works.
Don't ask me. I'll rush you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Sean Scott, and I'm the Senior Director over Transportation and Public Safety for Alamo Area Council of Governments. We were recently presented by an opportunity through the state of Texas right now to increase public transportation services in the Alamo region. I had a presentation to our ACAR board, and after that presentation, we were approached by almost every county in our region, which is the 12 counties of the ACAR Alamo region. Judge Kelly and Mayor Eichner both approached me asking me if I could look into some possible activities here, and I was encouraged by that because we already have resources here that we could do stuff, some assets here. And so after a quick evaluation, because this is a short time frame on the funding that's going to become available, it was determined that this place, that Kerrville and Kerr County could make the quickest and biggest impact on any kind of public transportation project we did, and it could actually benefit the whole region eventually in the long term. Public transportation, most of the time, most residents, whether they ride the bus or not, transportation is going to affect them. I usually talk about two benefits that I try to focus on really. One's economic growth and one's community health. Very broad topics, but just a brief summary real quick of what I mean by that. And so public transportation supports economic growth. One, every dollar invested in public transportation usually returns between $3 and $4 back into the community. How does it do that? Usually business clusters, so you take a bus stop on a route system, and a coffee shop will develop, and then a sandwich shop next to it, and create a cluster. It usually benefits tourism and both public and private entities and stuff like that. Transportation connects workers and jobs and students to their classes. So pretty easy to see that is that public transportation contributes to a skilled workforce. It allows area employers to attract employees to an economy that needs growing or that's already growing. And the last thing I usually talk about on economic growth is job creation. Not only does bringing a robust public transportation system in, I mean, we hire drivers, we hire office staff and maintenance. We also help residents, we usually connect people to job opportunities also. Residents can easily commute and get to their workplaces every day through public transportation. So one way to really expand your workforce in an area is to improve the public transportation around there. Reduce those challenges of needing a car or gasoline or relying on somebody else that has the deal. So that's the things that I see public transportation really supports, and that's usually how I talk about public transportation. The next thing I do talk about is the community health, and usually I target the elderly population or other vulnerable populations. What I mean by that is if you have an elderly-friendly transportation system, and you can talk to almost anybody, your agency on aging, or anybody that works with these groups, that transportation is their big barriers. That causes problems. They end up with, if they don't have transportation, they end up socially isolated, ended up into depression and loneliness that impact all their well-beings. So transportation is a big benefit right there, and it comes around. It also gets them out into the communities. One other thing I talk about is inner city buses that get people moving around to doctor's appointments and stuff like that in different parts of the region. So the next part of this is, I kind of just told you, I just wanted you to know what public transportation does in some small communities. What does it do right here? ART's been in this region since the mid-'80s. It's probably before that, but it was usually under a different name. And we started, rural public transportation started out in some of the senior care facilities and senior living centers and stuff like that until the mid-'80s. And then that funding actually moved into a true rural public transportation program that spread across everybody and not just the over 65. We've been in Kerrville. We have a facility here in town that's over there. It's very underutilized right now. In fact, it's closed to the public. We use it for basically maintenance and parking vehicles, and we run our trips out of there. We did over 9,600 man-sponsored trips right here in Kerr County last year. While that seems like it's a pretty good amount of trips for a community, the demand is much higher. We probably turn down easily that many trips a year just in this whole region because not having resources. So just like most things in life, you either go forward or you go backward. You get better or you get worse. And so if we want to move forward with this, Alamo Regional Transit would need to bring in additional resources and funding to support that. So that brings me to the current opportunity that happened with TxDOT. So the Transportation Division at TxDOT has made available to us a little over $400,000 that they want to do long-term commitment to that will be part of our formula funding. I've been in public transportation for a little over 20 years now, and this is the first time I've ever seen TxDOT come forward with me. So I've been really excited about this. And so the issue with transportation money is it always requires a local match. And so I'm just trying to make everybody aware of that. So we've got the money, the federal money coming in, and we're going to need a 50-50 local match to do anything. And so that's where I was coming at, trying to create a partnership or just broach the topic and get it open in the conversation about a partnership between Kerr County, the city of Kerrville, and ACOG. Yes, sir.
And to clarify, these are federal funds that TxDOT oversees, and they're the ones that place the grants.
Correct.
And these are with ACOG at this point, and then ACOG partners with the local counties.
Correct.
So you go from the feds to TxDOT to the COGS, in our case it's Alamo area, and then to the counties. And this is a unique opportunity for Kerr County.
That is true, and it's long term. It's not. This isn't just a little one year deal or 2 year deal. They're willing to commit to this long term.
Clarify that for me.
Yes, sir.
So when you say long term, I mean $400,000 every year, or what are we talking about?
Depending on the level of transportation. Oh, from TxDOT to us, yes. They're adding that to our formula funding. So it was passed in this last legislative session to improve, to reimburse public transportation that much more. So it's not just our region that's getting it, there's other regions that are getting funding also. And of course, we have to perform. Nobody gives away money. You have to perform and earn it, and we do that. We've proven that everywhere. With commitment, that's what we're looking for, is commitment from city and county. We're trying to come up with a multi-tiered approach to providing what we call stable and dependable public transportation that also meets the needs of the community, because every community is different. You have different socioeconomic backgrounds, you have different purposes that people would use it for, and that. We have successful models in our region, and that anytime we can combine what we call service models to fit demand in an area. So service models, when I use that term, I talk about basically 4 different things that we do. So we do a flex route system, which everybody's probably familiar with bus systems that run on a fixed route system. We operate a flex route, which we still stay on a time point deal, but we will deviate off of that route to pick up mobility impaired clientele. The other thing is the demand response. That's what we run here right now in Kerr County and Kerrville, in most areas of our region. That is, you call in at least 24 hours in advance, and it's first come, first served. The system fills up rapidly because the demand's huge. And then we have a new service that we're really working on implementing, and we've just added all our technology to, and it's called a microservice. Most people are going to be familiar and relate microservice to either Uber or Lyft or something like that. And so we have the technology and the capabilities to do that and implement that. We're going to do it on a small scale in some other parts of the region to start out, probably New Braunfels right now.
That's just an app on your phone.
It'll be just an app on the phone. And so with that, as far as recommendation of how we would implement the tier system, I told you that we would put in the flex route system. The reason we always want to start with something basic is because that's going to be dependable, we know it's there, and we can build off of it. We can use the demand response in the microtransit intercity bus to build off of that route system. It's always been an important deal to us. The flex route system would use our app also. So everywhere we design anything on a scheduled service, we'll put together a feed into it's not Google Transit anymore, it's a global transit feed system. And those feed systems help us with truck pay. So you'll be able to just go onto Google and you can type in your address, type where you want to go, and it'll tell you what's available and how much it costs and all that. And all that will be available through our app, whether we're running a flex route or if we want to run demand response, you can do your reservations in advance on that. You can do the microtransit on the app right there. We're implementing right now that you can pay everything through the app. We would treat the microtransit because it's going to be a really customized service, it's a premium service, but it's another option for some people that don't want to do things. So most of the time, our goals are just to increase transportation options and accessibility. And so an example of, we were talking about the flex route systems. The 2 places we have them right now are one in Seguin, the city of Seguin, and we have it in between Jerdenton and Pleasanton down in Atascosa County. Both those routes, I consider those serving very similar sized communities as this, and they are working tremendously well. In fact, we're one of the higher rated route systems in the rural system. Most rural systems are doing between 3 and 5 trips an hour, and we're at 7 to 10 most of the time. So we're doing well in both of our areas. I put together a graph, and I don't know if y'all can see that on our Connect Seguin and our Cowboy Connect, but you can see the Connect Seguin has really taken off. We did 21,000 trips last year with one bus. I mean, that's the difference of implementing that route. You saw 9,600 trips that we did in this region. We probably used 4 or 5 buses to do that, and just not near as efficient as what we can do with the route system. Cowboy Connect, that's a new implementation for us that we started, unfortunately, right in the middle of COVID. And so we got beat up a little bit on that first year of it, but you can see that it's really taken off now, and we're hitting high marks on it also. And of course, I told you that the flex route system is the basis, and we're going to use the other systems to determine what we're going to fill in. So, you know, the demand response, the microtransit, or any kind of intercity bus. When we talk about the funds that come in and everything like that, and I want to always put what you can expect from us on this deal. And so what you can expect from us is an operations management, of course, planning to go involved with that. We will hire local staff, and the facility will be opened back up, so that facility can be twofold. It can be used however the city or county needs it. Sometimes I think of like a warming station during the winter or something like that. Yes, ma'am?
Where's that facility located?
Right at a corner across the buses.
Buses, yes.
Just wanted to make sure. Yeah, okay.
The signs aren't up, but they're in the back right now.
Okay.
Okay. We also bring backup staff also. I mean, our system is completely mobile. I mean, I can answer the phone in San Antonio if we have people here that have a problem. Also, we have regional drivers. We have drivers in Bernie and Bandera. We have drivers, right now we don't have one in Fredericksburg, but we have them there. If there's drivers sick here, we can rotate them around because we have them in proximity, and we just kind of do a shift from San Antonio that way or the other way. The other thing is what the judge just mentioned is we have an app. So our phone-based app, we're actually improving and stepping up with it now. You can use it right now to reserve trips, but this will help with our microtransit service. This will help a person if they want to start right here and go all the way to San Antonio. They can use our app to go across everybody's system. So they can pay for it through our app, get on the bus via whatever we do. However we program our route to do, then that's what it would. And so that would come down to the planning side of it. You can also do the online trip planning, which I mentioned. You go on to Google and you just put your address and where you want to go, and it'll tell you what's their available options and how much those options would cost you. And I mean, I'll have Uber tied into it. I'll have Via tied into it. If there's any other private entities around here that do service, I would tie them into it. And so it's not just all about me. It's about the whole community and getting mobile.
Have we?
Yes, sir.
Have y'all done any surveys or anything as far as the need here? I mean, you know, we got 50 people just chomping at the bit to jump in on it, or do you take?
Yes, sir, we do. We attend certain community meetings right now, and we're stepping that up, and we'll be doing at least a meeting every 2 weeks. Just focus group meetings at first, which will be elected officials, it'll be consumers, it'll be community leaders. We attend, I can't remember the name of the meeting we attend right now for all the local nonprofits. And we hear the transportation is always the issue. You know, that's a huge barrier no matter where you go. I think for almost everybody that's, you know, under a certain pay level, that's going to be their number one barrier. You'll see that, or at least in the top 3. And so we have data, but we're going to collect much more. Other things that we provide are the marketing and the travel training to people, so that'll be part of our outreach and that. And then if we want to wrap the vehicles, you can see the Connect Seguin buses or the Outskirts. We put nice wraps on them. We try to get feedback in for the community, or do a community, you know, pick something, you know, market it, you know, what do they like for a wrap or something like that. And of course, you can expect from us monthly ridership reports and progress reports, feedback on what's working and what's not working and ways that we would need to change or could change. So now that kind of just brings me up to why I'm here, is really I'm just looking for your support on this project right now. The commitment that you want us to keep moving forward with this design and come to you with the implementations and a target date. We really want to target this for the fall of 2024 if everybody's in partnership and wants to do this. Our next steps would be the discussion with the elected officials so that we could kind of start seeing the vision that elected officials have, what they feel the needs are, and make sure we're not leaving people out. And then the focus groups and community leaders. And then when we gather all that data, we'll come back to the elected officials with recommendations on what we'll do for service, and we'll try to move forward with that.
And you meet with the city tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night I'll be at City Council.
Can you be a little bit more specific as to what would you be providing at this point? The number of routes and where they would be going?
So depending on the funding, if we did this maximum funding right now, I would think we would start off with 2 flex routes. So probably Ingram all the way into the bus station here. We've also looked at creating a route that goes through Fredericksburg and Harper and come back through, I think, the Mountain Home in Ingram and back in here. Not sure on that one, maybe run it twice a day or something, but hourly run the Ingram in here and then run to the VA maybe and back. I'm not sure what we have north and south right now. So.
A lot of our employees commute from Bandera, from Fredericksburg, Comfort. Would this be able to reach those people?
Yes, sir. We could definitely do that. I mean, especially when we find that data and that mark. We don't necessarily have to run a big bus to do everything. I mean, if we're talking, we have 5 people in Bandera, or we could even route it. You know, we could run that route from Bernie into Bandera.
We have a lot more than 5 in Bandera.
Right, but I just wanted you to see it scalable. So I mean, we could scale it from a small deal, or we could scale it up. You know, 30 passenger buses. So, very possible to do whatever we need to do. But the micro transit service, I think, is a big hit right now. I mean, it seems to be very popular in public transportation. Lots of demand on it because people feel. I mean, a lot of different demographics are using this. Elderly and more affluent people are using this micro transit service. Yes, sir.
And could you clarify when we talk about the micro?
Uh-huh.
Okay. That's the one that's Uber-like, right?
Yes.
And they pay for that.
Yes.
There's a service provided and it's paid for. Tell us what the fees are to ride the bus on these other routes.
So currently on all our flex routes, I mean, we'll set the rate with you to determine what you want to charge for a fare. Just remember the fares really don't count as revenue towards us. They offset expenses. And it's kind of a weird way of looking at it. But so back to the fares. Yes, flex routes, we don't even charge for the flex routes right now. We let people ride that for free. The demand response is $2 if you're within the city. It's $6 within the county. You cross the county line, it goes to $8, and then if you cross 2 county lines, it goes to $12. And I can tell you, going across 2 county lines, rarely do we get that opportunity to go Kerrville to San Antonio or anything like that because the bus is already filled up here. We don't have it. The micro transit, I consider that more of a premium service, and I think the fare would realistically start at around $10, and we'll just put a flat rate of $10, and it stays within the city limits of Kerrville or something like that. If we had, we would just have to see where the demand comes from in the rural section.
And just
much
clarify,
more. Yes, sir.
ACOG provides all the dispatch service.
Yes, sir. All the, yeah.
And the routes part of the routes are free, and then we have the demand, which is a little bit of money, and then you have the more expensive one, which is the micro.
Correct.
And all of that is handled on the phone.
It can be, or it can be handled through. I mean, you don't have to interact if you don't want to. You can do everything from your phone. But we also do have the phone. We get a lot of the population, believe it or not, that just wants to call.
I was gonna say, my mom can't do that, but she can call you, so
Right.
you can call.
And what happened is, and I'll give you the reason the app was actually, why I was ever interested in the app and brought it in, is because the calls came in too long and we were always rushing people to get off so that we could get to the next call to reserve the next trip. I mean, we did 130,000 trips last year. You could see the phone traffic and trying to handle that with a minimal amount of people. And so now the app lets people that can do that. And then we have people now that can actually take time, help people out with their trip and talk to them.
I know we have a demand for this because it's Kerr Connect, right?
Kerr Connect, they're here.
Right, and
they
you're
get
looking
ready.
for drivers because you can't get all of the routes, right? I mean, there's a demand,
Oh, it's a huge demand.
yeah.
And this is not supposed to compete with Kerr Connect.
No, sir.
No, yeah.
But I was gonna make a comment or two. So it's more
Let me ask-
collaboration than.
Let me ask you a quick question for, I think you signed up to speak, sir, I believe.
Yeah.
What hours to what hours?
It would obviously depend on what we see we need. I mean, if we're not talking about employment and shift work or something like that, we would need to extend some hours to make it fit. But potentially, we could run 24/7. Realistically, you're probably looking at a 10-hour day, something like that, 6 to 6 with a mid-break. It just depends.
Okay.
Do we have Uber here?
I was just saying, does anybody know how many Uber drivers we have?
Uh,
There's not many.
No.
Yeah, I know
There's not.
one or two, but,
They
those
call
are
themselves Uber, but.
hit and miss, yeah. Yeah.
And I haven't seen them. I mean, I came here and pulled up my app, my Uber app, and I've never been able to get a ride. And I will tell you, I mean, I don't think it would be right for us to try to compete with Uber.
Right.
So if Uber's in here, then there's no need for our service there anyway.
But we don't have.
Well, you talked to us about Kerr Connect.
Uh-huh.
This
Yes, sir.
Burkett or Burkett?
Burkett.
Burkett. Let's let him address it.
Okay.
We'll go to the podium. Here, you're in.
Let me just drop. I don't know how many of y'all are aware. Oh, that's further than I thought.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name's Michael Burkett. I'm the chair of the board of Kerr Connect. Kerr Connect is a 501c3 organization that provides transportation to those who don't have any other way of getting out. To go to doctors, to go to hospitals, to go to friends' houses, to go get their hair done, to get out and connect back with their community and let themselves stay independent in their own houses. There's about 28% of the Kerr County population is over 65. We are heavily, probably 95% of the people that we transport are over 65. We have a couple that are over 100. And good for them. But briefly here, Kerr Connect is a demand response style of transportation. People call, they want to ride, we get it scheduled for them, and then we have volunteer drivers who use their own cars to go get them and take them where they need to go and get them back home. Art has been here a long time. It does a great service. It does stuff we cannot do. For instance, wheelchairs. Our drivers can't handle wheelchairs. Their vehicles aren't made for it, nor are they trained to do it. So we have to say no to anybody who has a wheelchair. But other than that, we do personal service. We'll go to the door, help them by, taking their elbow, supporting them to the car, supporting them out of the car and into where they need to go. We provide a little bit more than a bus service can do it, because the bus drivers basically can't leave their vehicles. We carry their groceries in for them or something else like that. But what I'm here, I was not aware of this new program or incentive for doing things. But what I'd like to ask you to do is, if you approve this, and I think you should, is to include in your approval a suggestion or recommendation to ACOG that it include local assets, local transportation assets in its planning. We're already on the ground. We dispatch from here. One of the problems that we hear about in dispatching, which is in San Antonio, is those folks don't know how Kerrville's laid out. And they may schedule rides that don't make sense because they're just not familiar with the Kerr County and the Kerrville roads. So that's just one reason to meet with them. But we would just like to be included. We think we can collaborate with ACOG and provide some of the services they're looking to do without building a new wheel. We're already here. So we've tried to get through to ACOG several times to see if we could collaborate and do some stuff together. Have not been successful in making that inroad. Sean is a new director. We've probably had 3 or 4 since Kerr Connect went into operation. So we would just like the ability to participate and see what we can do to help this along. And thank you for your time. I'll take questions if you have.
John, anything else?
No, we're always willing to work with the local portion of it. I mean, that's the great part. And he's correct. They provide a service we cannot provide. There's no way that we could provide the personal level of care these people provide. So they do a tremendous asset for the school.
And how long have y'all been going, Kerr Connect?
We started in October of 2018. We this fall, or actually about a month ago, we completed our 200,000th mile of transporting people here. He says that ART does about 9,600 trips a year. Right now, we're on track to do about 4,000 a year with our volunteers. And we're looking for the ability to expand our services. Like any other operation, it's going to take money, and we're looking for grants, but we're also looking for drivers, as Ms. Overby mentioned. We brainstorm, and we've got some ideas on how to expand service. I think what you were talking about a little earlier, this maybe 6 to 6 as a need, is a time period need. It may need, depending on what population you're getting to. We had studied this before we started Kerr Connect. You may be looking at something more like 5:30 to 7 or something. And a lot of it has to do with restaurant workers, hotel workers who have to get there early and have to stay late. But again, it's detail you don't need to get yourself involved in. But there's a lot that can be talked about, and we just like the opportunity to participate in that.
You're certainly welcome.
Are you planning on going to the city tomorrow evening for their presentation?
Yeah, I wasn't aware of it until right now. I didn't know they were going to be there at the city, and I'll say the same thing.
Good.
John, what do you need from us today?
What I'm looking for is the support from y'all to make sure that this is a project that you're interested in doing. If not, then I think this is the greatest area to do this right now. I think the demand's here for Mr. Burkett. There's much more. There's so many different levels of service that needs to happen in almost every community. And I know that this community, I think we can do those get that. So what I'm looking for is the support of this project right now. And hopefully that we can come to you during the budget process and find out if we can come up with a partnership between us, the city, and the county for the match money to pull down the entire $400,000 for this area.
And let's just put some numbers on that so that the people know.
Okay.
And the court knows. Turnkey operations try to get what? half a dozen routes set up?
I think 6 routes would be a good number, and then of course we're fill that in with some more demand response and
So the cost is probably slightly under $800,000.
the cost would be a little over $800,000.
Okay, a little over 800.
But I'm not asking y'all for anything over that.
And it's 50-50 match.
Yes, sir.
And so between the city and the county, we're looking to do 25, and they
Do 50.
do 50.
Yes, sir.
And we get 400 from TechStop.
No. So I will be representing TechStop with the
Right.
fund. And so it'd be an $800,000 budget. I would do 400,
Right.
and how the county and city would like to partnership, if it works out, the split of the other 400.
Right.
And then we already have budgeted in around $150,000 to $250,000 a year, providing the current level of service we have. So this is additional above and beyond what we're doing now.
But what you're trying to do today is determine whether or not we have the interest in pursuing this and trying to tease it out to see what it's ultimately going to look like.
Yes, that's exactly.
Because you're not going to waste any more time if we're not interested.
I didn't want to say it's wasting time, because I know this is a good project. I don't want, if it's not feasible for y'all to do, then it's not feasible for me to move.
I stand corrected.
Sean, from my perspective, I mean, yes, I'm interested, but I'd like to see a lot more about the cost structure and projections going forward. I mean, what I'm hearing is it would cost the county $200,000 in the next budget cycle. What does that look like beyond? You know, as it is, we're gonna have a tough budget this year.
Right.
We're already anticipating that, so.
And that's
adding more money in, difficult, but again, does this program, will we continue to get the 400,000 per year from ACOG, or, you know, once we commit to it, it gets up and running, and then all of a sudden that gets pulled out from under us? So what's the long term?
This is a sustaining grant.
Right, and that's the reason that I feel like I'm behind on presenting this to you, is because I needed assurances from TechStop that this 400,000 was going into formula funding for long term.
Right.
So yes, I'm asking for the long term from you to provide the match, and TechStop's already confirmed the long term formula funding for us.
I think you definitely need to proceed at this point, but I'm not sure, it may need to be phased some.
Okay.
Just from a budget standpoint.
Yeah, that's my main concern, is the budget.
Yeah, and
I'm gonna pay for it.
And I'm sort of like you, I want to see more details. I also like to see how you might integrate with Kerr Connect and what have you. What would that look like if that's a viable alternative?
So I think there's definitely a need, for the sergeants.
We're not voting, we're just nodding heads. So,
And I can come back with some more information and make a more formal.
you got some firm nods and you got some tentative nods, and basic nods all the way across. Or not, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm open to more suggestions or seeing more.
Okay.
I don't see anything I could vote on today.
No.
Yeah, exactly, but I just want you to realize I want to see more details.
And I'd like to see more on the cost, and then I'm sure that there are various options on, I won't call it revenue, because you've already corrected that it wouldn't be revenue, but it would lower the operating costs, depending on fares, and, so there's a lot of different ways to slice and dice this, I'm sure.
Right, the normal method to present a budget to you will be revenue hours. How many hours are we operating? And we'll have that set cost for you. We'll come in and say, this is what it costs to operate per hour. We know that this route's running 6 to 6 or 12 hours, it costs X amount of dollars. And if you want to change that level of service and go, you know what, I don't want the demand response, I want the micro transit. Well, it's still going to be the same cost per revenue hour. It's just going to probably be less service there compared to this.
I think there is a demand. I would also like to hear from some of our employers that know they have people coming in, and if we can hear from some of them as to, because we need some people to work in Kerr County, and they're coming from somewhere else. How are we going to get them here? And if we know some of those people that are struggling.
Well, the mayor and I spoke with Sean, east towards Comfort, north towards Bedford, south towards Bandera, and maybe even west towards get people in.
And I think it's very important to hear from the public. You got
Sure.
your focus groups, and that's great. You know, we need to have public hearings. I mean, because the public needs to understand that, you know, we can add all the services in the world, but it's gonna have budget implications, which is tax implications. So they need to get involved and understand what this is too. Okay.
And we'll get started on a survey this week with the employers. We'll start getting that put out. We have one already established.
Also the butts in the seats. I mean, those are the ones that.
That's an
are
important
gonna
deal.
make it
You
run.
want production for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have those.
Anything else, Mr. John? Okay, let's take a 5-minute break. I'll do it. We're gonna take the 10:30 item first because we have so many visitors here. We wanna hear what you have to say. We'll call item 1.20, consider discuss and take appropriate action to accept an equipment donation from the Kerr County Sheriff's Foundation and the Callow Foundation for the Lenco Bearcat Armored Rescue Response Vehicle. Sheriff.
All right. Give him a picture, Gage, or?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll start talking meanwhile, we'll display a picture. You know, I have some members of the foundation that want to speak, from both Kerr County Sheriff's Foundation and also the Calhoun Foundation here. We really appreciate it. I can't thank them enough what they've done for us. In less than 3 years, they've raised over $500,000 for the Sheriff's Office. We really appreciate it, and I know the court's kind of familiar and seen this, but what we do, we want the public to know what's done. All this money they've raised is coming from the public. They've done a great job in fundraising. I really look forward to our big fundraisers in November. This particular unit here, they also, it was $319,000, and they paid for 9 of us to go up there to Pittsburgh, Massachusetts, Pittsfield, and 5 members from the Sheriff's Office and 4 members from the Foundation went. They paid for everything all the way up there back. 4 of us flew up there, 4 of us flew back, and 5 drove back with the Bearcat, another unit. And while we were there, we got a 6-hour tour of the facility, and I thought, man, this, 6 hours really, and but it truly did. It took over 6 hours. I mean, basically that unit there starts with a cab and chassis. I was really impressed, and they hand build it from there up. And it was pretty impressive to get that tour, did a test drive and stuff, and it was a great time. And fortunately, right after we got ours, they had a 15% high increase in cost, which we don't really look, which has been another $45,000. But with that, I just gotta say, I gotta thank them. Thank y'all every time I see y'all. I appreciate it. I mean, what they've done for us, we have a 14-man special response team. It costed 2 years ago, it was about $10,000 a man. I don't even know what it costs to have them trained, bulletproof vest and weapons, but they've really been a big help. Actually, a lot of this stuff that's happened already, I intend on doing it in my second term, but we were able to get it in my first term, and like I said, we look forward to this November. But I'm going to let our president, is Kerry Bach, let her come up here to say a few words and introduce the rest of the foundation and Stacy.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning. Thank you, Judge and Commissioners, for having us here this morning. This is a huge privilege that the foundation has been able to be a part of in Kerr County, period, because we were established about 3 years ago, and we help raise funds for things that's not in the budget. You guys know any and everything about budgets, so it can be a scary situation sometimes. We have a team of 7 board members. Some of them are here today. If you'll raise your hand, just say hi to the Commissioner's Court. We could not do this without each other, and we could not do this without our donors. We have had numerous people in the community come out every single year to our fundraiser that happens in November at the Arcadia Live, which is another incredible establishment because they allow us to come in and have our fundraiser there. They're great hosts. This is something that we must have in Kerr County. This is a must for every county. I mean, this day and age, we have issues coming up all the time with criminal activity. Not only is this Bearcat good for criminal activities, but it's also good for all kinds of weather situations and helping the people out in the county that maybe emergency services can't get to. Anyway, so we would love to thank the Callow Foundation for doing a matching grant with us for this, and without them, we wouldn't have this either. The nice thing is that this serves everyone of the county, not just the Bearcat, but the Kerr County Sheriff's Foundation, along with the Sheriff's Office. We serve everyone. There's no one that is missed, and so this is a great thing to be a part of. All the YouTubers and stuff out there, if anybody has questions and want to join us, be a donor, come to the foundation fundraisers every year, we have a website, kerrcountysf.com. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Stacy Page, who's with the Callow Foundation, and she's going to speak on behalf of them.
Thank you, Kerry.
I'm not sure Stacy needs an introduction. introduction.
You are very kind. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Stacy Page. I serve as the Director of Community Relations for the Callow Foundation here in beautiful Kerrville, Texas. Let me put my glasses on. Sorry, y'all. It's my distinct honor and privilege to represent the Callow family, whose board of directors felt compelled to assist in the acquisition of this specialized armored rescue vehicle. As law enforcement and first responders, your diligence, dedication, and desire to ensure and maintain the peace, safety, and well-being of our community is greatly appreciated. May this exceptional and impressive piece of rescue equipment, together with God's grace, keep our brave public servants in our surrounding Kerrville communities safe and secure from danger, threat, and harm for many years to come. Thank you.
So with that, we'll ask for your approval to accept it.
I'll make a motion that the court accept this equipment donation from the Kerr County Sheriff's Foundation and the Callow Foundation for the Lenco Bearcat Armored Rescue Response Vehicle.
Second. Third. We got a motion and a second.
Thank you.
Let's go.
We didn't vote.
This is a time for further discussion. So, I mean, I'm still waiting for my ride.
Well, it's not mine, it's not ours yet.
Discussion, so otherwise I'm gonna vote for this.
We'll get you this afternoon.
I want to thank the Cal Foundation and the foundation. Y'all do a lot. This is, I think, Kerry said, these are items that we couldn't fund through our budget. But they are things that will help the community. I appreciate the amount of work that both Cal Foundation and the Sheriff Foundation have done.
Absolutely. Thank you.
A lot of hard work all the way around. Congratulations, y'all got it done.
So with that, let's show our appreciation by taking a vote. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. We are in debt. Thank you very much for your time. Yes.
Thank you all. Good to see you.
Hold it down.
Okay, get on to our 10 o'clock docket. We'll start with item 1.13. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve and execute the master services agreement of professional engineering services on a task order basis between Kerr County and, is it? Half Associates, Inc. for flood mitigation projects. Ms. Clausen.
Okay, we finally have the contract together. It's been reviewed by Heather and approved for Half Associates for the flood mitigation plan. We went out for RFQ for this, or RFP for this back in RFQ. I guess back in December. And so we finally have the contract so we can move forward.
I'll move to approve the master services agreement for professional engineering services on task order basis between Kerr County and Half Associates for flood mitigation projects.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Item 1.14. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action on payment request from D-Garrett Construction Company for the East Kerr County wastewater project phase 3. Mr. Hastings.
Thank you, Judge. Last week, court held a special meeting to look at a pay request from D-Garrett. There's some concern over phase 3 due to the tardiness, being late on the construction deadlines and amassing liquidated damages. We did have a meeting the day after that with D-Garrett, and I put this back on the agenda to ask the court if they would consider paying this pay app number 3, but We are expecting one more payment request from DeGuerra to close the project, and we have put them on notice that they have to quantify and qualify any claims against the liquidated damages.
And I'll just add to Charlie's comments, I was a participant in the meeting with DeGuerra last week, along with Judge Kelly. And, they laid out a case for the county needs to perhaps consider giving them credit for some of the days which they were late. So a detailed dive needs to go into that discussion to look at the time and the reasons why they were so delayed. And that'll be done between engineering and DeGuerra and of course Tetra Tech project manager. I hope to participate in a lot of that myself. But I was convinced that, we should go ahead and pay this payout for phase 3, and that there will be enough funds that will be sitting on, subject to the outcome of the time and the liquidated damages that's going to be ongoing between payouts 4 for both phase 2 and 3 and the retention, 5% retention. I think the county is protected, and it remains to be seen, what the ultimate liquidated damages and the settlement thereof will be.
And I participated in that meeting as well, and I want to be a little bit more specific. With regard to the late days, we as a group decided that we would have Charlie and a representative from DeGuerra and Don Berger, who's our consultant, go through and review these late days and make recommendations as best they can, what they can agree on and then what's not agreed. And bring it back to the court, to us, not just the committee. I mean, he'll be working with Rich, I'm sure, and I'll probably be working with some too. But basically, for them to get a recommendation to us, and I asked them to, with respect to this payment, the tacit agreement among the parties was to go ahead and make this payment on phase 3. We agreed to do that. I asked them to get that recommendation on the late days, or get us the final bill, because we got one more final bill coming, we know, and to get us that within 2 weeks. And then to be able to come back and make recommendations to us and try to get this thing closed within a month, no later than a month and a half. So we put very concrete deadlines on what we're trying to accomplish. So this court and the public holds accountable. So
I think I would encourage, because of open meeting requirements, I would encourage that as much as possible, we have a special meeting, something to go over a lot of this, because a lot of this took place before everyone in the court, other than me, started. The judge made it, I'm the judge meeting, and then 5 years, I mean, it's late, and some of those decisions, I think, it's not to be part of it. But most of phase 2 and 3 have been precinct 2, and for that reason, I've let Mr. Paces and the judge kind of handle most of this.
The idea being that we take the pre-professionals, have them get together and make recommendations that they can meet with various commissioners, and then we get back to a special meeting.
Sort of that.
But it was a very productive and constructive conversation.
And so what we're talking about today is the payout for 27 for phase 3.
It's 24, 25, 26, and 27 for phase 3.
And the total amount, 179.
It's somewhere around there. I don't have that in front of me right this moment.
They've already been approved by
Mr.
Paces, myself, and they're in the auditor's office.
Right. But since the last special commissioners court meetings that we were meeting, and then we had the meeting subsequent to that, we'll take a different decision on it today, presumably.
So, is there a motion to make those payments as presented?
I'm moving for approval.
Okay, I'll second.
I don't think per local government code that you can approve the payment of an invoice unless it's been submitted by me. I do have those ready to submit for you, so maybe you could just say, you agree with the payouts or something of that
You
nature,
agree?
take out the payment
We,
part of it.
we accept the recommendation, and then when we pay bills, you bring them in?
Yes.
Sounds correct. So we got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. We will take care of that in due course.
Just for clarification, now we had at that special meeting not to pay then.
Right.
Should we rescind that court order as well?
No, I think I just leave that court order alone. It was effective at the time. We're going to enter a new one.
With the recommendation for the payment to the candidate or to the auditor to process payment.
And the treasurer also has to approve that also.
Okay. So then we'll move on to item 1.15. Consider discussing take appropriate action to accept summary and award rebids for crushed paving aggregates. Topic.
Rebids for crushed paving aggregates were open and read during the February 12, 2024 Commissioners Court meeting. All rebid prices are to begin February 26, 2024 and be in effect until December 31st, 2024. I handed out a summary to the court. In our bid packet for the material specifications, paving aggregates notated as state grade. So the only two that went under the state grade, Colorado Materials, Johnson City. The first one, Anderson, Columbia, they did a modified, which is you're adding another rock into your mix. And we follow underneath the state grade. So the one that we're going to go with, and so far, we like the look of the material. It seems to be a pretty clean rock. We'd like to go with Colorado Materials. They're out of San Marcos. So you've got all sorts of different testing and things on there, but the big thing is that we noticed they were bidding on things that we didn't ask for. So
Do you want us to accept all or just Colorado?
no, you can accept all of them. I think it would be smart just in case we have a problem, but we're going to set out to purchase from Colorado Materials.
The other question is, since several of them is slightly different than we asked, was there wording that allowed them to do an equivalent material or something like that? I'm concerned that we can't accept those if they didn't follow the bid document.
Well,
They refer to the county attorney on that.
Yeah.
So if the bid substantially complies with what it is that you're asking for, I think we're fine there.
Okay.
Okay. You want to make sure? I move we accept all bids.
Second. Got a motion and a second to approve all the bids as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Item 1.16, consider discussing and appropriate action for Commissioners Court approval of the Kerr County dead animal removal policy. Ms. Hoffman.
Before you today is a policy on dead animal removal from Kerr County road right-of-ways and Kerr County's easements. The purpose of road and bridge removing dead animals is from a safety standpoint. A dead animal in a county-maintained roadway becomes an obstruction. Also in the drainage, you've got a heavy rain and you've got a dead animal, it can plug up your drainage. But that's our main thing, is the safety for the traveling public and also for the drainage. And we don't have a full-time dead animal pickup person, so when a call does come in, the individual that's going to do our dead animal pickup, they stop what they are doing, come back to the main office, and then they pick up the truck that we use to pick up the dead animals. After they've done that, that animal needs to go over to the dump. They pick up paperwork from our office. If there's enough time left in the day, they grab their equipment that they started out with in the morning and go out, to work on that project. So there is a lot of time on this to pick this up, and what's starting to happen is we're getting more and more phone calls of people wanting us to pick up a dead animal in their backyard. And that is not the purpose of us doing this. So I decided it might be a good idea to put a policy in place It's got a court order behind it. I worked with the county attorney's office. Heather had asked if I had included Reagan in this from a standpoint of kind of environmental, and I had not at the time, but I did. And Reagan said he noticed that those calls were becoming more and more also. We even had a gentleman that his dog died, and he called us and said he had placed his dog by the side of the road and asked us to come pick up his pet. And so, you know, I felt for the gentleman, but again, ours is mainly, if you've got a dead animal in the road, somebody swerves around it, could have a head-on collision, and as far as the drainage, you could have problems with that, plugging up your drainage.
And buzzards.
Yes. So anyways, let's see where I was on that. Yeah, picking up animals in backyards is not a safety issue as far as an obstruction in the county's right-of-way and or easement. We even, I told you about the person with the dead dog, but we bring this before you, a written policy regarding Kerr County's dead animal removal policy. This will encompass precinct 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like I said, we just pretty much have noticed that it's becoming more and more coming and picking it up in your backyard. But we ran a little bit of some data. I had Crystal go into our database on how many calls with dead animals, and it's in your backup. Precinct 2 and Precinct 4 had the largest numbers. 62 in Precinct 2 during the time period of 1/3/2023 to 12/29/2023. And Precinct 4 had 59. We calculated the employees' hours, equipment hours, total cost and total cost for equipment hours. And this is for all the precincts. The total cost of $21,089.48. And like I said, it's time consuming because I don't have somebody that's what they do. It's usually our brush cutting crew that takes care of that, and they do pothole patching. But we just really felt that it was time to put something in place. I had looked up some other counties. Williamson County, what is the procedure for removal of dead animals? If you notice a dead animal on the side of a county-maintained road, please call Road and Bridge, got the number, and they will get it taken care of as soon as possible. They do not have the means to pick up large livestock, or they will go on to personal property. Animal control, nor Road and Bridge will pick up dead animals in your yard. So, saw that in a lot of the counties. I wish somebody would start up a business and be able to do that. I mean, because I really do feel there's a need. Yeah. Bigger cities, I've noticed that they have private individuals, and usually the county will refer them to those individuals.
Right.
My only question, Kelly, is that in the second paragraph of the policy, you say it will be removed between 7:30 and 2. You know, I mean, when you get into the summer, the dead animal's going to be gone within hours, and buzzards. And, you know, I'm not much in favor of, unless it's an animal in the road, or even picking them up personally. I just think that they're going to be taken care of pretty quick. It's blocking the drainage, that's one thing, and causing an actual problem. If it's on the road, I can see it getting off the road, but I just don't think we should be spending tax dollars on dead animals. And definitely shouldn't say we will do it. I just say do it when we can, or have it. Yeah, we'll try to get there, but you know, it's not going to be a priority. And when you say will, that means it'll be done, and it'll be patient, it'll be done, and then we're going to get calls. Well, your policy says you're going to do it, and you haven't got it done yet. So I definitely modify that word, but I'm not much in favor of picking dead animals through.
Buzzards are a problem, flying up, you know, people hit them.
I've hit one.
Yeah.
You know, people should slow down.
Well, they should, but they're unpredictable how they're gonna fly away too.
Yeah.
They're right there on the side of the road.
I'll leave it up to discretion if Road and Bridge wants to do it.
Well, I think Commissioner West makes a good point. I mean, certainly if I have a dead critter on my property, probably that I shot, I tend to open them up, and in less than 5 days, there's nothing left but bones. Mother Nature does the work between the coyotes and the buzzards, but yeah, I'll say, when we do our TxDOT adopt the highway cleanups, you find all kind of carcasses. By the time we get there, it's just bones, and we don't pick those up either. So that's the TxDOT policy.
Well, TxDOT, they move them is what they do.
What's that?
TxDOT moves them. They're near the highway, since their right-of-ways are so wide,
Right.
they move it and they put it down in an area where nobody can see it. But our right-of-ways are pretty cleared out.
Right.
You can see
I don't come out that one. I don't think you just say you will.
If we change that word from will to may, that implies some subjectivity on the part of the person responsible for doing it, if at all.
And I like that.
You like the discretion?
Because there's a lot of times, I mean,
Best efforts or something.
We're tied up.
yeah, but yeah, it's not a priority to get out there that day. Now if it's a red stag in the road somewhere, well, yeah, that's kind of a priority. But if it's
in the
fall,
road.
a fall axis fawn,
yeah.
not there very long. And most of them are in the right of way. Most of them aren't on the road.
So do you say will, if possible, or when possible, or practical, or?
Well, so I think the thrust of the policy is that Road and Bridge is trying to narrow the scope of folks rather than expand the scope of folks that they renew. So when they're saying that they will respond, they're saying in these specific circumstances will respond, and not these other circumstances when it's in your backyard. I don't know if that helps provide some
But it
context.
says if it's in the road or right of way, I mean, we will respond. And that's
Well, certainly if it's in the road, we should.
Yeah.
And maybe we should adopt a practice like TxDOT, it's to drag them to the far end of our county right away.
It doesn't say
Well,
where you're gonna remove
if
it
you're
to.
talking about Goat Creek cutoff,
Should just
that's
say remove.
less than from me to you.
Yeah, there's a lot of effort. I mean, I think there should be some discretion for it. That's my point.
So are you good with us changing will to may?
I'm good with that, but
And that makes it permissive, not mandatory.
Right.
this is my point of view.
I agree.
Make that motion.
Who's making the motion?
I make a motion that we accept the dead animal removal policy with the change of the second paragraph, first line, the word will be changed to the word may.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to adopt the policy as presented with the changing the word will to the word may. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Are we gonna put out any kind of a press release on this? Because we need the public to be aware.
Right.
Yes.
I think we got one.
If you would get with Lisa.
Yes, we were planning on that. That was suggested from the county attorney's office.
And I think, and then the press release would be good to tell the public, if there is an animal on the road, move it off to the side. I mean, I think most people do that at a common sense, but
If you're from here, you know to get out and do it.
anyway.
Our deputies will do that too.
Yeah.
Let's move on to item 1.17. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action for Commissioners' Court approval to purchase a John Deere CP30E cold planter. Ms. Hoffman.
Before you is a sales agreement for a John Deere CP30E cold planer. This attachment will be used for edge patching and other various small width road repairs. When we purchased two new John Deere 5075E tractors from United Ag and Turf, we also traded in two John Deere 5090 tractors that left us with a credit of $15,352.44. We would like to take that credit towards this cold planer, and the remaining $10,000 $809.44 will be paid out of the line item 16-684-565, capital projects, tax note, capital outlay, road and bridge equipment. The purchase of this cold planer is under the Sourcewell contract 011723-JDC. It's a 14% government discount. At this time, we ask the Commissioners Court for their approval to purchase a John Deere CP30E cold planer from United Ag and Turf under the Sourcewell contract, and have the county judge sign the same.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second to approve purchasing the cold planner as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Just what exactly how do you use the planer?
It gets attached on a skid steer, which is the next agenda item. And it has a drum that has bits that rotate, rock bits. And what it does is it kind of chews up what you've got there. It allows you to either add some additional material or rework what you've got.
Is this primarily for doing patches or?
Yeah, small patches or edges. It's 30 inches wide. It's kind of neat because the unit will slide. So if you have a lot of obstructions when you're using it, and the equipment itself that it's attached to is going to be a problem, you can shift this unit that will allow you to be able to get where otherwise you wouldn't be able to get. Yeah.
Any other discussion? Take a vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Item 118, consider discuss and take appropriate action for Commissioners Court approval to purchase a 2024 John Deere 333G compact track loader and trade in a 2003 New Holland LS 180 skid steer RBU 115 and a 2009 Volvo L35 wheel loader RB 154. Ms. Hawkins.
Yes, this would be the unit that we would hook up the cold planer to. You need a high flow unit to run that type of attachment. The two units that the judge had just listed, the 2003 New Holland LS 180 skid steer RBU 115 and the 2009 Volvo L35 wheel loader, which is RBU 154, they have already been surplused through the auditor's office. We checked with Ilda to make sure that they had already been surplus, and she confirmed that. This purchase also would be made out of the 16-684-567 Road and Bridge equipment tax note capital outlay. The new equipment is being purchased under Sourcewell contract number 011723-JDC. It's a 30% off list for a government discount, so obviously we don't have to go out for any formal bid on this. So at this time, I ask the Commissioners Court for their approval to purchase a 2024 John Deere 333G compact track loader and trade in a 2003 New Holland LS 180 skid steer and a 2009 Volvo LS 35 wheel loader, and have the county judge sign the same.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the purchase of the track loader and trade in for the New Holland and the Volvo equipment.
The other thing I wanted to notate on this, we were working with Tanya as far as trade-in. When you go to trade, it's got to be like units. So you like to take a dump truck and trade it in on a loader, they won't allow you to do that. So the two units that are being traded in are loader type pieces of equipment. So everything is like equipment.
That was the question. Was this in the capital item, in your capital item purchase list?
It was not originally, but when we saw that they had this little cold planer, we were like, this would be really nice to be able to use on road edges. And so when we had the credit from United Turf and Ag from the tractors, we found out a price, and we were like, for a little over $10,000, we would be able to use this for road edges, plus all of our attachments from our old skidster, grapple, forks, tree shear, all of those will work on this new unit, so.
I mean, I support it, I don't need to be picky, but at the same time,
We had a list.
we had a list, and as opposed to reducing the debt and paying off money, we're buying more equipment. Yeah, I know it's needed, and I'll vote for it, but I think in next budget, there may need to be, I would like to see a requirement that any trade-ins not go for more equipment. I mean, maybe we need to have a list of what we're gonna buy and stick with that list.
We prioritize.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I'm okay with this, but I think we need to be tighter in future budget.
Anything else? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
I'll vote for it, but it's just, you know, 'cause I think that we need to be clear.
Okay. Item 1.19, consider, discuss, take appropriate action for Commissioners Court approval to surplus a 1996 International Oil Distributor truck and a 2018
Etner.
Etnyr. That's ETNYRE, chip spreader. What's your vote?
Good morning. So these two items, they are hoping to trade them in the future for like items as well. And that's what we just discussed.
And what they'll be traded in on is the same as those are on our list, our equipment list.
So this is just a vote to surplus.
Surplus.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve surplusing the equipment as identified. Any discussion?
Yeah, Kelly, why is it that the chip spreader, 2018, it's that old?
Well, what ends up happening with these things, they've got a lot of electronics on them, and they run on a conveyor belt system, and as that is going into the hopper to spread the rock, you've got a lot of dust, and what ends up happening is, it's true with any of the equipment of today, they put in so much electronics, and the dust kills them. You're replacing circuit boards, and so they become very costly.
That's the way they ensure resale.
I think they gave us $175,000 for a trade on our BU 220. And I can't remember what we paid for it. It was over $200,000, probably almost $3.
Yeah, and this is,
I hate to see such a short life on an expensive piece of equipment.
but at the same, I mean, I agree with you, Commissioner, but the other side of this is a person who owns quite a bit of equipment. The repairs on this stuff and the electronics are a nightmare on all the equipment, especially when we're working out in dirty situations. And with our seal coat program, this is one machine that we need to have it working properly to meet our, all the time to meet our demand on
Well,
roads.
too, when we bought this 2018, the one that we had before, I think was a 2003 or 2004. And Cooper Equipment is the distributor for this particular brand. They offered us $50,000 for a chip spreader. We ended up selling it to Bandera County, and I think I was able to get $85,000 for it. It went through the commissioner's court.
So will this be our only chip spreader?
Yeah, we only have one. Yeah.
Well, I defer to Commissioner Letz's experience in operating this big equipment.
It's nice that they put a lot of these electronics because they do a lot of different things. But when it comes time to repair, it becomes very, very costly. Sometimes I wish they'd just go back to how things were without all of the electronics.
To me, it's not just the cost, it's the time. I mean, when things go down during chip sealing season, it's a problem.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, that's-
Okay.
Okay. We voted on it already?
Nope.
Okay. Then those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, thank you. Okay, moving down to item 1.27, which is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding contract for general architectural services for Kerr County. Mr. Letts.
The current contract, or not current anymore, the former contract that we had for our general architectural services with Peter Lewis was expired in 2023. So I think that, you know, in light of what Mr. Pace is working on, I mean, we need to have cost estimates for things, and we also from time need this general thing. So to me, we either need to renew the one with Peter Lewis, which we could do, or go out again for a new, request for qualifications. And it depends how much, if we're not spending much money, we don't have to, we can just go hire somebody. But if it's going to be a sizable amount, we ought to have a contract. And I really brought it up because we don't have a contract with Peter Lewis right now. Right. Because it expired. So I just put it up as information. If we, you know, if we're not going to use or need this service that much, if it's less than $50,000 anticipated for the next year, we don't need a contract, I don't think. All the work he's doing on the both facilities out of the bond issue, and that's a both separate issue. Right. So, anyway, I just put it on the agenda to
If something comes up, we can renew it or go out for bids for a contract, or whatever we need to do.
Well, maybe the rate limiting step is, do we anticipate greater than $50,000?
I don't think so.
I would think that we would on
I mean, we're gonna need cost estimates, just to prioritize things and, you know, prepare, you know, for the budget.
Yes.
But
I'm fine with that. I just put it on just because we don't have a contract right now, so let everyone be aware.
If we need one, we can cross that bridge when it comes.
Okay.
Okay, so no action on that.
And you, Judge, you skipped 122.
Again? 122?
No.
I think we did.
No, we
We
didn't.
did.
No, we didn't.
We did it before break.
That's the dollar donation?
Yeah.
You dozed off for
I would sleep it out. Right.
Okay, we'll go to 128. Review of background regarding interlocal agreement with City of Kerrville regarding Almond Road. Mr. Letts.
I put this on the agenda because at our last meeting, there was a public comment that the public was not very much aware of what we did, why we did it. And I talked to that individual and had a good conversation. By the end of it, I think we made the right decision in doing that. But the point was, you know, the public doesn't know. So I thought that it'd be worthwhile to put it on and just go through kind of the, because I was very involved with it, kind of how we got there.
And I agree, and as you do that, so the public understands what the critique was. We were being criticized for contributing to improve a city road. And there's more to that story.
Right.
We need to hear the rest of that story.
Yeah. So first of all, and you know, I have a list of 9 different things. The first thing was the state of Texas, through the governor's office, participated in the economic development of Main Creek. Because of that, the local governmental entities are prohibited from talking about it much. We talked about some general terms, which we did, but we can't mention the name of the company. We can't really mention the details of what they're doing. So it was talked about in executive session as we're required to do, and then we couldn't talk about it much publicly until it was announced a couple of weeks ago. So there was a reason we couldn't talk about it based on the governor's office and the funding.
And that's because the governor's office wants to be the one that makes the initial announcement.
Right.
So they don't want us leaking it out.
Yeah.
So we have to walk back real quick.
But the property where the Almond Road is owned 50-50 by the city of the county. It's part of the airport. It's part of that property. It's a public road, but it is part of the airport. Also, about, I don't know, I'm guessing it was about 5 years ago, I checked with a couple of former Commissioner Reeves a little bit about this, but he remembers the discussion. We talked about the need with the city, about the need for that road being upgraded, because that road is a whole access to the west side of the airport. And the road it's a narrow road, it's a dangerous road. It was decided about 5 years ago that, you know, neither the city nor the county had the money to do an upgrade, so it was just pretty much put on hold and deferred at that time. The upgrade of the road benefits, yes, it will benefit Main Creek. They'll be using it, but it also benefits that whole side of the airport where there will be use The Mooney facility does use a lot of big trucks still, and at some point in the not too distant future, that property will come, the lease will come back, and it will come back to the city and the county, and there will be additional activity on that part of the airport, I would anticipate. Kind of a general thing, this is a little bit about Maggie Creek in general. Kerr County is almost entirely dependent on residential property taxes. We're way out of skew for what a lot of counties are. So bringing in some commercial business, this is kind of a little bit on the economic development side of it. The things that this county has supported as long as I've been a commissioner, it's about 4 things really. And it's James Avery, now Mega Creek, Fox Tank, and we did some stuff at Mooney. All of those are big taxpayers. They're huge taxpayers in this community, and they will. And Mega Creek will go into the top 10 right as soon as they get their facility built. And James Avery's already in that top 10. So it's a, we need bringing in some, high value infrastructure like this helps all the residential property tax rates indirectly because they pay a huge amount. The initial plan for this, when it was discussed to bring in the company, and what Mega Creek was planning on using was using Peterson Farm Road. It was a straight shot. I'm the one that objected strongly to that because one, it goes through residential areas and it goes by the Catholic high school. And I said, I was very much against that. Did a preliminary, this rough cost of that. That's a county road, 100%. The cost to upgrade that was in excess using the same basic criteria as our Mooney Road was well over $2 million. And that's a county road. At the time, I then brought it up with the city and said, it is much more beneficial to the city and the county for our Mooney Road to be upgraded. And that is the reason we negotiated a deal with the city of Kerrville where we're paying less than half the cost of that road to be upgraded. I think it's $850,000, I think max is the max. Whereas they don't have a max. They're required to do it. And that's really the only reason I just wanted to put it out into the public is that that's why it was done. And it wasn't that we were trying to be not transparent. It was that we couldn't be at the time. And I just want to take this opportunity to let folks know, at least why I voted and why I think the court voted, because this was discussed in executive session. Right.
And that particular requirement in the economic development that entice Mega Creek to come to Kerr County was a last minute issue. We get at the last minute, we had very little time to do anything, and we couldn't, you need to make decisions, much less go out and make the announcement before the governor announces it on February 1.
Right. So. And one other point that I did, it's on my list, I forgot, skipped over it. The infrastructure costs or the building costs that Mega Creek is building is estimated to be about $40 million, probably higher than that. And the product they sell is subject to sales tax. The combination of the ad valorem taxes on $40 million and the projected sales tax, the road, our portion of the contribution to Mooney Road we paid for somewhere 3.5, 4.5, maybe 5 years, somewhere there, probably 4, 4.5, and 4 most likely. So it's something that needed to be done, and it's the payback is relatively short.
It's a very favorable ROI.
Anyway, I just wanted that for the public.
I just wanted to say on Peterson Farm Road, there is a small portion towards the Mooney parking lot, and there's a small bridge there. That is the city of Kerrville. So they have a very small portion. So Kerr County doesn't have 100% of Peterson Farm Road. So.
And there's a little bit of Peterson Farm Road that is the county that will be upgraded as part of this project. Part of it is the county road that is because of where their entry is. But yeah, that bridge is.
That's the city, yes.
The only thing I'll add to the discussion, because everything was kept hush-hush and confidential, I frankly was disappointed. I had a lot of questions, and particularly about water usage. We never saw a site plan where they were going to build, how close it would be to one side or the other, and the residents that are out there. Still haven't seen a lot of that. I finally did see some water consumption numbers, and it's a lot higher than I thought. So anyway, I voted for it at the time, and I also recalled that we had some other bites at the apple, if you will. But I went back and read the interlocal agreement, and it basically said if it goes forward, we're in. Is that right? Or?
We have some input into the road construction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But only on the road, not on
And
the
location.
project. I mean,
Not
I
on
want to know
project.
that what they're gonna do to minimize noise, for example, and avoid, you know, having the old backup, alarm on their various trucks going off at, 2 in the morning or whatever, assuming that eventually they go 24/7.
I think those are
nice
things-
to have a lot more info on this. And
I think we
that's
will.
what I'm hearing from the public, is it is in my precinct.
Yeah, it is. And I think that my understanding is that the, one of the principal owners, Salvador? Yeah, Salvador, will be in the community quite a bit in the next 2 months, and he's more than happy to meet with the public. They're also looking at,
Well, Salvador's management.
management.
Yeah, Bernardo.
Oh, that's right, Bernardo's the owner. Right, Salvador's gonna be here, management. And Bernardo, I think, is gonna be here quite a bit too. Both the Herb Foundation, or Herb Company out of Chicago, and the, Sobrano family out of Monterrey, Mexico, are looking at setting up some sorts of local foundations. They want to both be very involved in the community. And on the water usage thing, it's an interesting thing. They're tying into the city water system. They're projected to use about 42,000 gallons a day. Because the city line dead ends, they're currently flushing 36,000 gallons a day into the creek, into Silver Creek. And so the net increase in water is about 6,000 gallons per day, and then that'll be paid for that as opposed to flushing them in what,
Right.
you know, if it wouldn't be that TCEQ's requirement, it would be considered waste. But TCE requires it because it's a dead end line to keep the water pressure in the system.
That was an eye-opener.
Yeah.
36 gallons a day getting flushed.
There's gotta be something better we can be doing with that water.
Well, let Nick
This
Creek
is-
is a good
That's
business.
it.
Disagree with that?
Yeah.
But it'd be a while, but.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, that's all, just an update, because, based on, the public comment that I agree with.
So there's no action on that. Let's move over to the approval agenda. 2.1, budget amendments.
You have 7 budget adjustments in front of you. There are only 2 of them that you haven't passed by approval already, or passed the project or whatever was behind the budget adjustment. And only 2 of those, one of them's an $8,000, it's for the insurance proceeds that we received, so the sheriff's office can do more repairs on their vehicle. It's the 3rd one down. And then there were some bonds that were a little bit higher than were anticipated, and that's only $550 million.
I move for approval.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the budget amendments as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. 2.2 is pay bills.
Yes, invoices for today's consideration, $844,123.58.
I move for approval.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the paying the bills as presented. Any discussion? Now, this doesn't include the DGAR, right?
It includes phase 2 of DGAR, about 150,000, or 175,000.
That's the late bill.
Yes.
Right, that's what, I was just clarifying that on what we paid for the regular bills does not include DGAR. Now we're gonna go to late bills. That's 2.3.
Yes, so late bills, $175,934.68, and that's your phase 3 that you approved earlier.
And that is, the bulk of that is the phase 3 for DGA.
I move for approval.
Got a motion and a second to approve the late bills as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Auditor reports.
Yes, there was, internal audit was conducted on Justice of the Peace, Precinct 3, and we ask that you accept the report.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the auditor's report as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Monthly reports.
Yes, for January 2024, Justice of the Peace, Judge William Ragsdale, Precinct 4, County Treasurer Tracy Sullivan, Environmental Health and Animal Service Director Reagan Gibbons, Investment Portfolio Summary, Tracy Sullivan, Treasurer. I move for approval.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second to approve the monthly reports as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 2.6, court orders.
Yes, we finally have the November 27th, 23 court order for Pepper Street, number 40339. We also have from the February 12th regular meeting, court orders 40453 through 40488. And then on the February 20th special meeting, which I was not at, but the court order to authorize payment of $149 to D. Kerr Construction Company, Phase 2. That's court order 40490. And after that, is that wording correct? I believe with the auditor, it says authorized payment. Should it say recommend payment since you? It says authorized payment of the D. Kerr Construction. That was a court order out of the last special meeting.
Oh, y'all cannot authorize a payment without it being presented by the auditor's office, is my understanding of local government code. I believe it's 113.064. So.
Should we change that word maybe to recommend payment?
Could you just say approve the work that's been done or something of that nature, the pay app itself?
Approve payment?
Well, approving the payment would be approving it for the treasurer to pay, and you cannot do that for local government code 113.064.
Recommend,
without it
I
being
don't,
presented.
we change it to recommend payment of, or recommended it to those that approve it.
Or approve the pay app, I think is what she said we could say.
We say that approved pay app.
Approve D. Guerrero's pay app would work.
Okay. So, Robert, the changes to read, approve, authorize, or approve payment of pay application in the amount of $149,770.92 to D. Kerr Construction Company.
You still cringing?
I defer to the county attorney.
I think you put authorized payment back in there, and the language is approved pay app from D. Guerrero.
Do that wording one more time, Jason.
Approved pay app from D. Guerrero.
Okay, this approved, okay. Approved payment application in the amount of $149,770.92 to D. Kerr Construction. Okay. Everyone's happy with that.
We'll make sure she's happy with it.
Okay. And with those, that modification, I'll make a motion to approve all those court orders.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the court orders as presented with the one modification.
Right.
Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, let's move on to the information agenda. 3.1, status reports from department heads. Okay, none. 3.2, status reports from elected officials.
So, I just want to provide some, a little bit of update and information about the elections that we've been having, early voting going on this past week. So, total amount of voters that we've seen during early voting between Tuesday, February 20th, and for the first week to Saturday, February 24th, was 2,840 voters. I do have yesterday's numbers as well. So for the first day of the second week of early voting, we had a total of 118 voters. So that brings from the 20th all the way to the 25th. That brings us up to 2,958 voters who have come, and we've been very happy to see all the people come out, and the turnout has been wonderful. But they're exercising their duties, and I'm a big fan of it. I appreciate them. As you might have been aware, we did have that AT&T issue last week. Thankfully, that does not affect elections at all. None of our equipment is connected to the internet, nothing like that. So it was still smooth sailing for us. And that was it. Any questions or anything like that?
No.
Any other elected officials? Nothing? Okay. 3.3, status report from liaison commissioner. Anything to report?
Got a couple updates. We're continuing to work on the step and grade system, so we finally concluded that we'll have a next meeting on March 5th, that's all we'll say. I also just want to inform kind of the public, really, that it's been quite a while since we had an aggregate production operations council meeting. And as the new liaison for that, I'm trying to set it up for March 13th. We'll have the next APO advisory council meeting. So sent an email out and starting to hear from some people looking for suggestions on agenda items and how to proceed with this. And so I look forward to a good meeting on that. March 13th, it'll be at the Youth Event Center. All right. Otherwise, on the eclipse planning, we've only got 2 more monthly planning meetings before the big event on April 8th. Still expecting a very large turnout, but I think the plans are definitely in place, and I don't anticipate any major problems. We'll be working closely with Lisa to get information out to the public, do's and don'ts and what to expect. So there will be traffic rerouted to minimize congestion and so forth. But anyway, I think we're in pretty good shape. So that's it.
Three.
It's sort of a liaison thing. It's I've been chair of the Region J Water Planning Group since it started about 30 years ago. And, pretty much I've decided that as I'm winding down some of my responsibilities at the end of that planning cycle, which is 2026, so that's the time that I will probably will be stepping down as chair of that. And I'll kind of let some people, other than trying to figure out who may want to step into that, but I'll be there through 2026, I told them. And for county standpoint, you have to be representative of certain groups. I'm a small business representative, not a county group, so that's really not a liaison position.
Good.
Board?
Jody's happiest about that.
She needs to sit down too. That's all right. I'm ready.
Nothing for me.
Nothing for the county as a whole, I sent a letter to the governor today of intent to make a disaster declaration for the eclipse. It turns out that Cheatham is not going to respond if we don't have a disaster declaration in place. I haven't declared the disaster today. We're going to do that right before the eclipse. But that way we will be qualified to receive services from the state if needed. And we are expecting that there is, it's going to be very, very crowded, and we don't know if we'll be able to provide all our services. I just throw that out there so the public knows and nobody can be surprised by it. Anything else? Okay, then we're going to take a short recess and come back in executive session, and we've got another executive session at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So, let's take 5 minutes. Again. So it is 12:22. We're coming out of the executive session. We don't have any action to take, and we have canceled our executive session for the 2 o'clock afternoon evaluation that we will be rescheduled.
Perfect.
So we are adjourned.